Very warm greeting, learners. This is Dr. Meenakshi. Today's presentation is for those who have been sending lots of queries, lots of questions regarding literary theory, and today we'll try to explore the basics of literary theory with the help of this Q&A session. So let's take the first question without a further delay. The first question is sent by Medha, right? So as per Medha, she's trying to ask, what is literary theory? Okay, literary theory and critical theory, we can say they both refer essentially to the same fields of study. Okay, they both address ways of looking at literature beyond the typical plot, theme, character, setting, and all. Right. So, as perspective, we know is a way of looking at something. A critical perspective is a way of criticizing or analyzing literature. One's critical perspective is a view one brings to the literature one reads. I hope, Medha, the question is clear to you now. The query is solved. Okay, now we're getting another question from Sneha. Okay. How and when did literary theory develop? Okay, let's try to find out. As different people will experience the same event differently, then that different people will approach the same literary text differently, isn't it? One person may be offended by a character's action, while another finds them comic. I hope that could have happened with you. You could have found something funny, and the other person have found it offended. Do you get any example in your head right now about that? Okay, let me give you an example. You were crossing the street, and just opposite to you there's a person coming, and suddenly the person falls down in a very funny way, and you start laughing, right? So for you, that's a comic situation. For the person who just fall, it was not comic. He could find it offending that you are laughing at him, right? So just remember that example when you think about how and when these theories develop and what is the basics, because we are trying to explore how the basic thing explode out of it. Because people think differently, they have experienced differently, and because of their different experience, their different reactions come, right? Okay. Literary theories, we know it emerged as a way or ways of explaining different people's perspective, views, responses, reactions to literature. Now, rather than insisting that one's view is the ultimate view or the best or the correct view, we must keep our mind open to that thing. There could be another views also. Literary theory attempts to find value in all the views that are based on a careful study of the literature. Right? Okay. So I hope, Sneha, the question is clearly tackled right now. Let's move on to the next question. It is from Madhav. Okay. What are the benefits of studying a work from more than one critical perspective? Oh, that's good. That's amazing. You know, I mean, just go through the question once again. What are the benefits of studying a work from more than one critical perspective? Okay. You read different kinds of book, right? Or you read different kinds of fiction books, you read different kinds of non-fiction books, you read academic books, and while reading academic book also you refer to different authors just to have a better understanding if you're not getting it at the first sight, isn't it? Let's explore it further. There could be several benefits when we talk about studying a work from more than one critical perspective. First of all, one of the view is likely to affirm one's perspective and speak to what you see in the literature one is studying. Second thing is studying a view different from one's, not to disagree with it, but to understand it. Right? What it actually does, it helps one to understand those who hold that kind of a view, which you are getting as a new perspective, isn't it? And the third thing, studying a work from more than one view gives one a deeper understanding of the author's work and a better appreciation for the richness of it. Isn't it amazing why we do go through different perspectives? Because it gives us different kinds of insights of the same thing but from different angles, isn't it? Okay, I think Madhav, I have tried to cover the main points why we basically study work from more than one critical perspective. Okay. Another question is from Raghav. Okay. What does studying a work from multiple critical perspective involve? Alright. Now this is an interesting question. What does studying a work from multiple critical perspective involve? Essentially, all we have to do is study a work from more than one critical perspective. That's what we have been talking in the previous question also. And what we do in that, we try to put one's own view on hold and entertain the other person's view. Although one may be a staunch green thinker, or you could have a very strong opinion about a certain concept or a perspective about a certain thing, one can now ask themselves, what would a yellow thinker see in this work? See, I have tried to give a just image impression with that line when I'm talking about the staunch green thinker. That means you could have an opinion of your own, but if you think about how the other person also thinks, the yellow thinker, which we are giving as an example, that will give us an idea how we actually study work from multiple critical perspectives, what kind of things involved in that. Okay, moving to the next question. What does studying a work from multiple critical perspectives not involve? Now, this is an amazing question. In the beginning, we addressed, just before this question, we addressed what does studying a work from multiple critical perspectives involve? Now, highlighting the not word here, which is saying what? What does studying a work from multiple critical perspectives not involve? Now, first and foremost, studying a work from multiple critical perspectives does not require that one agrees with any of the perspectives one studies, right? So it's not mandatory that you need to agree with the perspective that you are going to study or you are studying, okay? Now, one is not being asked to become a yellow thinker, right? You are not asked to become a yellow thinker, only to consider without criticism and judgment what a yellow thinker would see in this text. That means we are not telling you to just change into the other thinker, which we are calling here as a yellow thinker. We are just trying to convince you to consider without any sort of a criticism and judgment what that yellow thinker would see in that particular text we are exploring, right? Now, second thing, studying a work from multiple critical perspectives does not require that one blends or merge two or more perspectives into a single interpretation, right? That doesn't mean that you have to involve it blending, that you have to merge the two perspectives into a single interpretation. You just have to observe, you just have to realize, you just have to consider the other perspective also. Okay, is it clear? Now, some of the points of some of the theories are actually mutually exclusive and cannot be reconciled. While examining a work from the feministic perspective, one do not need to take into account what a Marxist perspective would find. One would examine each perspective independently. So it's just, I'm just trying to give you an example. There are different perspectives when we talk about the theories of critical analysis, critical thinking. So, in that particular thinking, we need not to think from all the perspectives all together and merge them. It is just we have to consider them, we have to understand them, and if we feel suitable, we can review the thinking or perspective that we are having. Okay, taking on the last question of the session. The question is from Prajapati. Okay, what are the most common popular critical theories? Okay, there are basically three critical theories that we are going to explore individually and in detail. The first one is the feminist, the second is the Marxist, third one is the psychoanalytic or Freudian theory, the fourth one is archetypical or mythological theory, the fifth one is new historicism, and the last one is the formalism. I'm not going to talk about these theories right now because we are going to take all these theories independently in each presentation. So I hope this session of Q&A has been clear to you, and we have been able to cover basic and the very simplest ways to explore the literary theories. So thank you very much for the patient listening and have a very good learning experience.